Hi, Craig. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Beautiful. I'm doing just fine. And thank you for being here. Okay, Craig, you see, oftentimes I love to thank my guests for two things. Alright? And I do this so often to the point where it has become an anthem because I say it oftentimes. So, Craig, firstly, I want to thank you for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you invested in yourself. And oftentimes I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. Say some months back, Craig, I was on a particular road and you see, just by the roadside, there was this tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it and the leaves were all dry and I just walked past it. But you see, Craig, just recently I was on that same road and this time around a lot changed. You see, the mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and immediately I got the urge to move closer and have a good look. Then when I got closer, Craig, it wowed me because now it's got a lot of mangoes on it. Beautiful green leaves and healthy branches. And not just mangoes, but ripe mangoes. So I was there staring at the beauty and, just kept on wondering at how amazing and glorious God is. My point is, the fact that you dedicated your time, resources, and energy to becoming the amazing person that you are today, that alone has made it really impossible for me to say nope to you. And you see, here you are today, myself and the audience, we're about to benefit from the fruit of your insight, the fruit of your work and your knowledge. So thank you so very much, Greg, for investing in yourself. We truly appreciate it.
I'm glad to do it. I'm
Yeah,
blessed with many good opportunities and other people to learn from. So I'm glad to share
beautiful.
at least a little bit of that.
Yeah, man. Okay. I'm quite excited to have you on the show today for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. For I believe in order for one to transition from a chaotic situation to that of a beautiful one, Craig, I believe it takes the application of knowledge. And not just knowledge, but the application of it. And you see, Craig, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness means ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. The second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing Craig on the show is for the sake of the listeners. Craig, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality information. And I'm totally convinced, Craig, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or professional journey. We are just so curious right now. We want to know how Craig got here. And afterwards, I've got
Sure.
some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Craig,
All
over to
right.
you.
Yeah. So my name is Craig Dehut, and I live with my family in the Midwest of the U.S. In Indiana. And I've been working in film and video for almost 20 years now. I got interested in it in early high school and just loved telling stories. A family gifted our family with an old camcorder where you'd record on tapes. And that sparked something in me where I loved the creativity of it. I loved being able to communicate stories that helped people and hopefully encouraged and changed people in a positive way. And so went to film school in Atlanta, Georgia, graduated from there in 2007. And my career path has been anything but linear. I've worked in television news. I've worked as an animator and illustrator for mobile games. And in the last 10 years, I've really been focusing on documentary film. And so myself and the co-founder of our non-for-profit Appian Media was founded about 10 years ago. And we travel over to places like Israel and Turkey and Jordan and Egypt, and we create biblical documentaries highlighting the places and the culture and the people of where the stories of the Bible took place, and then we give them away for free online. All of our resources are available in that way. And that's really been my focus. And it combines many of my great loves, a lot of the creative things that I was interested in, but also my faith and my belief in Christ, that I can try to help illuminate and help people better understand the biblical text through these visuals.
Amazing. And that's a great one. And you see, what you're doing is having great impact, I believe, because there was a time I came across a particular documentary, and it's a Christian one, and it really, really passed a very deep message to me, and I fell in love with things like that. You know, ever since then, I've always been in search, looking for stuff like that. So now I have an answer man was doing something like that. So after this meeting, Craig, I'd have to visit your website. Yeah, and watch some stuff. Okay, let's talk about the future of faith-based media. Can you talk to us about that?
Sure. Well, it's been an interesting journey. When I was considering going to film school, graduated high school in 2002, there were not a lot of options for people of faith to create content that they felt was meaningful and aligned with our Christian worldview. People weren't doing that. Hollywood certainly wasn't doing that. They were not interested in that. They still typically are not interested in that. So there weren't a lot of options for us. So I had to learn from people who did not share the same values that I did, who were very good at their craft. I'm excited to see over the last, 15, 16 years, more and more filmmakers with faith are stepping up and creating just incredibly impactful and professionally produced things. I think of the Irwin Brothers Kingdom Story Company and the Kendrick Brothers and many others. And so when I look to the future, there are so many more opportunities for people like us that were not previously available. The cost of entry is lower. Cameras and equipment and talent are not simply held behind a gate in Hollywood where we have to get their permission. Now we can rent our own gear. We can hire our own actors and write our own scripts and find our own funding. That's how Appian Media is able to do what we do. It's all crowdfunded. We go straight to the audience as a non-for-profit and say, do you want this content? And so we don't have to get permission anymore from people who don't share the same beliefs that we do. And that opens up just a world of incredible possibilities for creative endeavors for people of faith.
And that's so good to know, I tell you. Thank God for that. Okay, you mentioned Hollywood. Let us talk about the culture of Hollywood, all right? So how can we equip the next generation to counter the culture of Hollywood?
Yeah. It's important. First, you've got to recognize that the culture of Hollywood is intentional. They're writing and producing content with an intentional bias and an objective. They are trying to change people's minds. And we can see, let's just look over the last few decades, it's not for the better. Society is not better for it by consuming that. And so first, recognizing that it's happening. I studied under professors, people who were working in the industry, and they told us so. That was their objective. And then it's recognizing, well, what can we do? We can, and it's easy, sit around and complain about it. And we can kind of begrudge the fact that there aren't the kinds of things we wish we could show our children. And that's what I was doing 10 years ago when I met my business partner, Stuart Peck. But we've got to get to a point where we stop complaining and actually start doing. We may not be filmmakers, but there are things that we can do, that you can do, your listeners can do, to counter that culture with whatever talents you do have. And so we decided, we're not going to get permission for this. What can we do? Let's go and make it ourselves. We could complain about the lack of it, or we could go out and create it. And so that's what I encourage, especially parents who are trying to show their kids what, is there worthwhile content to see now. First, stop watching what you don't agree with. Stop giving them money because you're telling them to make more. And then if you have the ability and the talent and the means, create it yourself. Other families and other people will be benefited by it. And the more of us who are doing that, the less we'll have to worry about the fact that Hollywood isn't giving us what we want.
I agree with that, man. And you see, just recently I was seeing a particular movie, and it really got to me when I saw the things that young kids were doing in the movie. Now, same-sex gender, You get it?
Yeah.
And I
Hmm.
was really, really disappointed. How on earth would you come up with such script? It's really, really demonic. And it got to me that I had a change of mind. Okay, I wouldn't use this particular software again for movies. And that
Yeah.
banks on what you just said. Stop giving them your
Yeah.
money. Because the more you give them
That's
your
right.
money, yeah, the more they keep making junks like that, demonic stuffs. You know,
Yeah.
it is really, really
Yeah. And it
sad, I
used to
tell
be
you.
subtle. I mean, they used to try to hide it. They kind of slip it in. That's what we learned in school. Like they taught us how to slip whatever we wanted our message to be. They said, we understand your audience may not want it. Here are ways that you can get that message across without being blatant about it. That veil has been lifted in the last 10 years. They're not trying to slip it in anymore. They're just putting it in.
Tell you,
And for people of faith, for people who believe, what God has revealed about family and about marriage and about, things like that, we should not encourage those filmmakers to keep telling those stories. And so what can we do is stop giving them our money and create something that is of value.
I tell you, man. And the simple truth is, they are functioning under the influence of the devil. Because right from the beginning, Satan loves to oppose everything that God supports. If God says yes,
Hmm.
the devil loves to say nope. God told those folks
Hmm.
in the garden, do not eat the fruit at the center. The devil went to meet them. He said, did God say you shouldn't eat it? Yeah, he knows if you eat it, you'll be just like him. So in other words, he was telling them to disobey God. So you see, oh man, and also this stuff as to vampires and whitewashing demons, they put all of these emotions into it, so folks will now begin to support characters like that. And you see, boy, thank you for what you're doing, Craig. All thanks to God. Okay, let us talk about how do films or film help us to understand the Bible in its proper context.
Yeah. So you'll hear people say, I'm a visual learner, right? And some people might say that more frequently than others. Truthfully, I believe that we all are visual learners. When we read text, a book of any kind, our imagination kicks in. We start creating visuals in our own mind. It's a natural part. It's why we enjoy reading. Well, when you read the Bible, it is common for us to just fill in those images with what we are familiar with our own culture. So I'm a 21st century American Christian. I was born in America. I understand American culture. And without even realizing it, you read the biblical text, and the things that you don't understand, you kind of fill in with your own time and your own culture. And what we're trying to do with Appian Media is, simply put, we're trying to help readers of the Bible today have at least as much understanding as the original recipients had about the history and the geography and the culture when those were written. So when Jesus talks about there was a man who went from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among thieves, the story of the Good Samaritan. People of that time, when they heard that parable, understood that the road between Jerusalem and Jericho is a treacherous, deserted road. So if you were to fall in hardship on that road, that was death. We want to show those visuals to modern readers and to modern viewers so that they can have that same connection. And there are countless things like that. The Sea of Galilee, I hear the word sea and I think ocean, because that's how we use that word in our vernacular. The seven seas, right? Well, the Sea of Galilee is a large lake. In fact, compared to some of the lakes we have in the US, it's a small lake. I can stand on one shore and look across and see the other shore easily. Showing those visuals help us understand some of these stories in the Gospels, especially, a lot better. And that's what we're after. We're trying to help people catch up, really, to what the original recipients had. And we do that through visuals. We do that through taking our team and our hosts into the lands, talking to the people, talking to historians and other experts, and then just showing them what these lands look like. There's so many more places we can go. We've got plans to do additional things. We're trying to catch people up so their imagination fills with the right kind of visuals.
Amazing, and that's a great one. I was watching a particular program, like a documentary, and the folks who created that stuff, oh boy, they took everything out of context. and they started adding a lot of their biases, a lot of their own. I think, I feel, maybe they started adding a lot of all of these stuffs into it. Then I grabbed my Bible and I went back again. I said, "Oh boy, wait a minute! It didn't say Jesus did this particular thing. It was that part where Mary went to meet Jesus and said, a lot of wine." And the one who created the documentary started saying things like Jesus almost got into fight with the servant whom he told to go fill the pots up. And where'd you get that from?
I don't remember reading that.
I tell you, I had to grab my Bible again and start checking. I can't find the stuff there. So thank you for what you're doing again. I love that. So how does media literacy provide education and empowerment?
Yeah, really. Excuse me. Early on in our work, we released our series on the life of Jesus. We call it Following the Messiah. It took us 2 trips to Israel, and we made 10 episodes about this. It's over 4 hours long. And I remember Stuart told us this story of this young boy who came up to him after watching some of this. And he came to Stuart and he said, you guys have made the Bible cool. And like, I understand what he meant. The truth is the Bible is cool all by itself. It doesn't need our help. It's amazing and it's life-changing and it's inspired. But I understand what he meant is now that I can see it, now that I can understand it clearer, I'm much more interested in the text. That's where the change happens. The power is in the text. And so we are blessed and thankful to be able to create the content that we do. And I'm glad that people consider it of high caliber and quality. That's part of our mission. But really, the power is in the text. And so we want people, what you were just saying, I want people to watch our videos with a Bible in their lap, right? And I want them to check and follow along. And I want the text, and this is something people commonly say, I want the text to come to life. Someone even said, you all have brought color to the black and white of the text. That's where the change happens. That's where the Holy Spirit does the work. And if we can play even just a small role in that, in the things that we produce, then we consider that mission accomplished.
Beautiful, and that's a great one. Beautiful. So to bring this to an end, Craig, what would you like to leave the audience with? Like a final thought? And to those folks who would like to reach out to you, learn more about everything we've talked about, or even ask questions, how can that be possible?
Okay. So if people want to reach out to me, they're welcome to reach out. My name is Craig, CRAIG.DEHUT at appianmedia.org. Honestly, if you go to our website, appianmedia.org, there's a contact form, and that'll actually come to me and other members of our team, and you guys can send messages there. I love hearing from other people who are using their talents. And maybe they're not video or media, but they're using their talents to glorify God. And so by all means, reach out to me in that way. Leaving people with a final word, really, I hope that people fall in love with the text. I hope that people fall in love with God's revealed word. The Holy Spirit took great pains to record it and preserve it for us, and we ought to treat it with respect by digging deeply into it, letting it change us from the inside out. And we live in such an incredible time now where we can consume it so easily. I mean, I've got a copy of the Bible on my phone. I can listen to it. I can read it. I can now, in some instances, watch it and visuals like what we're producing. So just dig yourself deep into it and let it change you and let God do his work in your heart.
Beautiful. So that's going to be the end of the show, Craig. Thank you for coming, and thank you for blessing our ears and minds with these amazing words. Thank you.
You're welcome.